Welcome once again to the Sage, and thank you for being with us. I hope you were with us last week. We had begun a discussion on the role of the family in nation building. It's been an exciting discussion. We had 3 amazing, beautiful young ladies on set, and they were well into the discussion, and so we continue today. Last week they had talked about the fact that yes, there was universal agreement that family is important. It is the smallest unit. It is the unit where education and many other characteristics begin to be instilled and nurtured in the child. So this week we go on with this amazing and interesting discussion. And I'm challenging them because they are young. They are still young. I say that from my vantage point. And therefore that their family life, as you know, the experience of it as children wasn't so long ago. So I'm going to ask each of them to talk about, basically in this episode, what were the highs? What were the things you treasure most about the family you came from? But also to have the courage to share with us perhaps 1 or perhaps even 2 things that you wished could have been different about your family life. So we'll start. We'll start with you, Gina, this time.
Okay.
The greatest highlights, the greatest highs, and then the low sides, if any. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mom, once again. Okay, so for me, I would say growing up, I was closest to my dad. And, whenever he comes back from work, I would always follow him. Like the very first thing I do whenever he comes back from work is follow him to his room, sit down, have a gist of my day. From school.
And he will listen,
to everyone who bullied me. And he would listen. And beyond listening, he would take action. Like encourage me when necessary, discipline whoever bullied me and all of that. And it was very, very, very important to me. And growing up also. Also, I would also steal my dad because I didn't really have so much of a relationship with my mom growing up because of my dad. I was literally with him every...
Are you the first girl?
Yes.
Daddy's girl. They usually are.
Everywhere. And there's also this thing he used to do academic-wise. Whoever gets first position or whoever does very well, he takes them out and then he buys them the best of everything there. Of course, he buys everything, like buys for every other person, but the best gets the best gift. And of course, I was always the best because I wanted to impress Daddy. So I always
you worked hard, eh?
Yes, I worked hard. So, in as much as he was doing that, it was actually having a positive impact on me because I was working hard. I was putting in so much effort to actually do well academically, and then I had a support, great support. But well, unfortunately, I lost him when I was 9.
Oh.
And it was so much to handle because then I just went to boarding school and it was just too much to handle at the same time. But well, we kept growing, and at that point, I guess it's also an advantage because that was the point I had to build a relationship with my mom, and trust me, it's awesome. Though I miss him every day, but of course. It's still awesome. It always.
You now found that okay, this woman, perhaps I can manage with her.
Yes.
Perhaps I can manage with her.
His daughters are always doing that. It's not fair.
Well,
His daughters are always doing that.
Daddy's girl. That's where the name Daddy's girl.
Yes,
that's why I asked her, are you the first? Because but I think it also comes from the father. You see, oftentimes when that man gets that's his first girl in particular, he thinks the child is perfect. And all the protectiveness comes into fore. So yes, that is beautiful, that relationship with Daddy, which however I think God took a hand and said, okay, establish one with Mommy.
With Mom.
Yeah, but what about the lows? Anything you want to share? You look back on that, your family life and so on. If it was a perfect world, is there anything you would have liked to change or to, improve on?
Personally, I would say the death of my dad was one thing I would have loved to change. And because when he died, it was, how do I put it? It was quite difficult for mom to take up all of the responsibilities alone.
Yeah, because
And
it often has financial
yes.
consequences. Yeah.
And beyond financial consequence, I'm talking about moral consequences also. Because I believe that it takes the mom and the dad to train a child and raise a family properly. And he left very early. I think the last born was very young. Like he hadn't even started school then. So mom kind of like had, how do I put it? Should I call it loose hand? When training the ones after me. And I could actually see, I remember one of the days when I came back from boarding school, and growing up, I'd always wash my mom's clothes and my younger one's clothes. And I remember one of the days I was doing my laundry, or our laundry rather, and I asked my younger sister to help me fetch water. Then we have this well in our compound, we still have it. And I asked her to help me fetch water because the tap wasn't running. And the next thing that came out from my mouth was, isn't it that asked you to help me wash my clothes? And I'm like, where did that, like, where did that
Where's the audacity coming from?
you get? And I'm mostly not at home because I boarding school just went to SS3. So
How did you think it?
This was your younger sister asking, eh?
yes, ma. And I was like, I was first perplexed. And then I asked her again, and she's like, I'm like, hey, okay. Then I actually did, I did the, spare the rod and spoil the child method that day, because I guess she needed to actually come back to her senses and know that, okay, there's somebody before you, and you ought to give her that respect that she deserves. Because
Factory reset.
Thank you, factory reset. I never actually did disrespect my people, so you shouldn't. And I think,
But let me say that is interesting, and that's why I push you guys to share some of these things, because family is not just about mommy and dad; it's also about sibling relationships, and the fact that it is also family that teaches you respect, even if it's respect between one child and the other. And your mom may not have been there, but she said that to you, and you soon set her right, so that next time she won't say it. So that is all the things we're discussing about family. We're checks and balances for each other. We show example, we correct, and it doesn't just have to be what your mom and dad does, but what even within that sibling relationship and bonds, what we do and teach and expect of each other. Great. Now, Justina, you're on the hot seat.
Okay. Thank you so much once more, mommy. The values I hold dear, like I said earlier, I hold family values in high esteem because of where I come from, because of what I had to experience as a child. I am a reflection of a lot of things that happened in my childhood. I still hold them so dear till today. First things first, I will say I appreciate is our prayer life. That is till today, till tomorrow. There is no time and there is no day. Now that everybody is even scattered across the country, we even have to pray on phones at times. We'll make WhatsApp group calls and then we'll pray on phone, because it is a foundation that has been laid a long time ago. The love we share. There is no day you will sit down and you say, okay, we are 8 in number. There is no day we don't speak to ourselves. All of us, there is no day, and that is the love. That is the love I show. I don't even know when I show it when I'm outside. That is the love I subconsciously show. That's the word. I wouldn't know. Wherever we find ourselves, we exhume this love that is within. It is from within. It is not something we are trying to fake outside. That is the spirit we carry. The values for education. Everybody must go to school. Everybody must be at it. From the first to the last. Everybody must be at it. Those values we held so dear. Respect. My family is so huge on respect. Even if it is 1 year difference between you and the next person, you are supposed to bring your head down and respect that person, irrespective of who you are. And that is wherever we find ourselves today. Even people that I'm older than at times, I wouldn't even know when I come down to greet them, when I come down to say, hey, good afternoon, ma, good afternoon, mama, good afternoon, papa. I don't know when all of that comes out. It is something that has been imbibed in me.
Because it's a culture.
Yes, it is a culture. It has been a way of life.
Respect.
It has been a way of life for a very long time. Until today, till tomorrow, it's still holding that place in my life. The prayer life, everything concerning us, the love we share, wherever we find it, we can't see somebody in pain, we can't see somebody crying, and then just pass.
Let me interrupt you just now and say something that before you even have a chance to say, let me say, because I happen to know your background a little. And so that I'm also aware that you lost your parents young and relatively close. Yes. So how did your family function without mommy and dad? They left you early, they left within a short space. So how did this prayer life, this closeness, this respect that you're talking about, how was it maintained and forged amongst their 8 children?
Okay, just basically we are 8 children, and we lost our parents actually very early, 15 years ago now. Our firstborn was barely 18, 19 then, and our lastborn was just, I think, 3+ as at the time we lost our parents. We lost them in the space of 5 months plus. And everybody was wondering, these children will not survive it. These children cannot do it. There is nothing that will happen. These children is either one of them will go wayward, one of them will become an armed robber, one of them will become pregnant, one of them will do this, and one. A lot of persons had that expectation. But because of these morals that has been instilled in us, even that my mom was a disciplinarian. Like she was a teacher, so she will tell you that she disciplines other people's children. So there is no way her own children will get spoiled. So the way my mom handles us, even in church, you can't, when you go to church as children, you want to play. The moment you see my mom from the choir, you can't stand up from where you are sitting from the beginning to the end of service. You won't try it. So all those things, we became more active in church. We became very active with our prayer life. I'm a Catholic, so we go for this thing they call block rosary. We started it even before my parents died, so we just continued. After we came back from their burial, it was like a daily routine. So we continued, and then going there, we kept hearing, this thing is not good, this thing is not good, the things we should stay away from. And then it was a culture already. It was something we couldn't even do without. Waking up in the morning to pray, we couldn't do without it. We couldn't start our days without prayer. We couldn't even go outside to say, okay, we are going out, and then you hear that somebody is fighting and we are found dead. From the time I've known ourselves till today, we've never had an issue like that. In church, we're very active in church. We're very active in places academically, and as God will have it, all of us were even bright. So it made way for us. I'm so happy to tell you that all of us are graduates today. Even our last one that was barely 4 years old, and she was 3+, she's a graduate today. She's 19 years old and she's a graduate of the university already. She graduated last year. So this is God at the center of it, if I would say. But on the other hand, we put in effort.
Yeah.
I have 3 elder ones. They stood in to say, okay, no matter what it is, these are the values my parents have held so dear. There is nothing that will bring shame to their name. They are late already. Okay, so this is the legacy they have left. So we should build on this legacy. We should hold on to it to say, okay, this is the life we are going to live, whether we like it or not. All of us are scattered around the country, doing well in one place or the other, and then we thank God for that. We are trying.
That's an amazing example, where and we commend all of you, commend the older ones, that they took the tragedy,
yes.
But they took the challenge of the tragedy as a call to action, as a call to leave out the memory of what they expected your parents to want of you, all of you, and I'm sure they had to work hard and so on and so forth to support their younger siblings and remain close. So that's an amazing example, and I think should be an encouragement to many of our viewers. The life doesn't come to an end if we're determined to still keep
pushing.
Keep pushing. That's great. Let me turn to you, my dear. What about you? What do you want to share?
For me, my dad passed, I think this is a year now. But I always, one thing he taught me was the value of excellence. Giving your best to any task that you've been assigned to. I'm not a perfectionist, but I just have a standard, the way things should be done. And I feel like that's what everybody should strive towards to, excellence. It's such a beautiful concept you get. And for my mom, I learned to be bold. My mom is very bold. Hey God, that woman
She has a lot of courage, eh?
a lot. That woman can speak to anybody, anytime, and it's the courage for me. She's very bold with her dreams, and she really put that in me. Like, be bold, live your life loud. Like, don't be shy, or don't be timid. I don't feel like there's anybody I can speak to, and it's not because I have an inflated impression of myself. I just feel like if I have something to say, you know, and I feel it's intelligent and something that would benefit both of us, why should I keep it? Yeah, why should I hold it? No. The world needs to hear what I have to say, if it makes sense. And I don't think anybody has any horn on their head I can't speak to them. You get? And I believe this is something that every child should have. There should be no timidity within us. We are not called to be timid. We are called to be bold as lions. So let me just go to the part where you said something about your family that you don't like. My parents separated when I was 16.
Okay.
So even I didn't like that. That was
No child likes it. Yeah.
It wasn't easy. You get? I still had my dad. I still had my mom, but they were not together. So even when I was in the university, when I came back to Nigeria, coming back home was hard for me. I didn't want to go home because it was, whose house was I going to go to? I'm more comfortable with my mom. You get? I want to stay with my mom. So like, and if I don't go to my dad, it will be like, so you're picking sides. So it wasn't. Yeah, it was that struggle for me that I didn't like. I love big, so I don't like being dragged. But all in all, I had support all the way. Even when I decided that, okay, law, after studying law for many years, law wasn't something I was going to practice actively. I do practice law, but not actively. My dad was a bit resistant to it, but he was supportive. Yeah, because he's always about, it's your dream, it's your life, and I'm going to be by your side. No matter, even if it's not something I want, is it something that you enjoy? Is it something that will give you money? Okay, let's go for it. So for the support and for the love, and I want to say thank you to my mom and to my dad and to my dad is late, but
he's still here.
It's still hard for me to remember that he's
gone. Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you to them. They are the best. They're really the best.
I think thank you for that. Thank you, each one of you, for the things you shared. I mean, I'm touched by that. I mean, Rachel ends by turning to her parents. And I thank the three young people with me, because there's been amazing candor here. It's important, even if we don't feel many times like admitting it, the reality is that none of us ever has a perfect life. It's never. And so it came out again so clearly from Rachel's discussion when she says, my mother bold, my father perfectionist, he wants excellence. And some unsaid there, you could see two strong but positive characters, and also shared the pain of when they decided to lead their lives apart, what it meant. Sometimes the sensitivities of who shall I stay with, who shouldn't I stay with. But I think the important thing here is that our families come in all forms.
Yeah.
But what is important is what the huge benefits, positives we derive from it. Today, the Rachel I know is a lovely, actualized young person, clear in her own ideas, imbibing her mother's courage, in acquiring her father's spirit of excellence, but also having to accept that we're different human beings, even if we're husband and wife. The families come in all forms. The important thing is to actualize our own goals and dreams and our own character. Justin, I think you wanted to add to that.
Okay, I wanted to add by saying the things I would have preferred to be different in my own family. Seeing how far we've come, and then a lot of excellence we've achieved, a lot of positive things we've been able to achieve. We've been getting married, everybody's raising their families, everybody is working, this person is here and this person is here. And I really wished they would have been around to even just wait for a while. Just
With your
wait for a while.
parents.
Yes, I there is no day I sit down that I don't have this thought of, but why did they have to go that early? My mom was barely 44. So she was so young. Like, I see 44 years old women and ladies now living their lives and exploring. But at the back of my mind, as much as I keep saying God knows best, as much as I keep consoling myself to say, okay, God has a perfect plan and all, there is still this human nature in me that keeps wishing that, oh God, I just wish they were around. When I gave birth, I was like, where is my mom? 1 month after, 2 months after. I know I had a lot of support system. I had people around and all. But every day, after I gave birth, her remembrance anniversary came, and then it was a tough one for me. Having to do all of that, I learned on the job how to bathe my baby. I bathed my baby for the first time by myself, and all of that. So it was a tough tussle for me, and it has been for all of us. And then if you ask all of us individually, separately, to say, what would you wish to happen now? So if you could turn back the hands of time, or if you could wish something perfect, what would you wish? I know everybody would say, I wish my parents were still alive to even see how far we've come, to see how far the seed they planted have germinated. Especially our last born. A lot of memories our last born have today, because she stays with me presently. A lot of memories she have about her parents today is what we tell her, because she was just 3 years old then. So what would she know? What memory will she have? She can't even remember the times my dad used to drop her in school. We have to remind her all those things. So she just have memories. So she will always wish that. And she looks so much like my mom. So a lot of times she wish her parents are around. She wish her parents are around. But on the long run, we thank God for life.
Justina said something that I just want to touch on: support system, and is
very strong.
Yeah,
we
and
had a
I think
very
that
strong
is
support system,
one of
very
the
powerful.
beauties of the African community. Yeah, having families within families. And one thing that is very popular, Eric is always fond of saying something, always fond of saying this on the show, when it comes to children and training. Said in Africa, it's not just the parents that train the child, it's a community of people. So I think that is one of the most beautiful things about the African culture, that everybody comes out when there's a tragedy or something, or even when there's something to celebrate. Everybody comes out to show support, and they don't just leave. There's still that presence of, we are here, whatever you need. So that is the beauty of the African culture, that I believe that we shouldn't, with our generation is wild, but I believe we should hold on to that.
Hold so dear.
We should hold on to that.
Yeah, I think what you both said is so important. But there's also a kind of a message of hope in it, as we all discussing, that our families are varied for the three of you, and that is real life. We lose our parents at some time, some pretty early, like both of you. Your father went when you were only 9, and you lost both parents close together, and they were quite young. Your father was later, but even at that, still a very painful loss. But the point, however, is we have a family. We thank God for that. But there's also a message of hope in knowing that the families vary. But when the right seeds have been sown, even if it's not for the whole lifetime, it can and does do germinate enough so that it allows that child to form into a strong, capable human being that is ready, poised to bring in her own his or her own generation of citizens and human beings that form a better world. And so I think it underscores the huge importance of family. Because thank you, three of you, for the varied experiences you've shared. And we will continue in the final part of this discussion to explore, given the fact that we've shown so clearly that families are important. It's not the length of time you remained as a child within that family that may be the bottom line. No, it is the richness you gathered from you acquired, and therefore, and I think we also agreed that it has a lot to do with the life that remains, and when it affects a family, it affects a community, and therefore by extension a nation. So do join us next week as we go to explore what we think is that bottom line. The family is critical for nation building, because the family is critical for each of us as an individual. So join us next week. Don't miss it. It's going to be an exciting and important conclusion to this discussion. Again, my thanks to our amazing young ladies, beautiful ladies on the set, as we welcome them back next week to finish the discussion. We thank you.